Greetings everyone and welcome back to a new tier maker. Now I've only done one of these, and it has been a long time ago, but I thought, you know what? There's some stuff I want to talk about. And there's definitely, I know a lot of YouTubers have probably done this specific one, but I thought, you know, I'm just gonna add it. I'm just gonna add in, blend in with the people, and just gonna make another tier list for you guys. My opinion, people will disagree, especially because we're talking about Star Wars. People are gonna disagree no matter what I do. If I loved every fucking movie, they'll disagree. If I hated every movie, they'll disagree. If there's in-betweens, they'll disagree. It's completely fine. I'm used to it. There ain't any worse haters than the fans itself. But anyways, I thought, you know what? There's some that I want to talk about the movies. I also want to tier them. Just simple S, A, B, C, D. I could have added a haven't watched, but luckily out of the whole list, there's some behind the camera. I've watched them all, luckily. So I can say stuff about it and also just actually tier them properly. At least subject to, you know, what I believe. Right. I tried to put them in order of release of... No, not on release. Fucking hell. Chronological order within the I guess no, I didn't. Fuck, what have I done? But I did 1 till 6, and then I did 7 Rogue One last year, 8 Solo. So I guess I did chronological in release for sequel related stuff. But when it comes to 1 till 6, I decided to just number it 1 till 6. Okay, you know what? Fair enough. Let's go and start with episode 1. Now, I do have to say, I am a prequel fanboy, all right? But I'll try and just think about it as a normal human being. Now, episode 1, I've watched it a couple times. I've definitely enjoyed it, especially the duel between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul. I think it's one of the ones that I've watched a couple times on YouTube when they released. And I actually wasn't the biggest fan of Duel of Fates in terms of actual song for a fight. In any case, I know people were crazy for it. It wasn't my thing. It didn't hit as well. I think the movie suffered a little bit from just being a tad bit too slow, and especially adding subjects and storylines within the time frame of the movie. That really wasn't necessary, and it could have been used for something else. So I wasn't the biggest fan of episode 1. It's not something I would rewatch very often, but purely because it's one of the movies that I haven't seen as often compared to some of the others, I definitely want to try and take another hit at it and just watch it again. But yeah, I have a very neutral opinion towards episode 1. It's not something I either love nor hate. Even though those are strong words, that it's not like I greatly like them or dislike it. I'm honestly gonna put episode 1 on the middle, B. If I have multiple in a category, it'll be from left to right will be the better one, the closest one to the A rank. If I put, for example, episode 2 here, it would mean that I would rank episode 1 higher than episode 2. That being said, though, I love the fight between, like I mentioned, the Jedi and the Sith, and it's just the thing is, there's not much else I really like to talk about when it comes to episode 1. At least when it's friends and people on my either streams or the YouTube comments. It's not something I really want to. There's not much I can talk about. But I do enjoy the portrayal of the characters. I think they've done a very good job. It's phenomenal. But I'm very neutral towards the movie. It's definitely one of those things that if they appeared on TV randomly, episode 1 is suddenly on TV, I would still watch it. Because I love Star Wars, man. Come on now. At least, bear with me. This opinion might change later down the line. Okay, now we have episode 2. Boy, oh boy. See, the thing is, when I talk about being a prequel fanboy, it comes to the fact that I watched the first 3 movies when it comes to 1, 2, 3. I've watched those as a kid. And as a kid, I didn't really have much of an opinion to form. I saw lightsaber fights. I saw force power. I was just ecstatic, if that's the word. I was just like, this is so cool. This is awesome. Like, I want to get my own lightsaber, light it up, go outside the city and start blasting younglings and killing left. I'm kidding. But I definitely, I'll be honest, I did go outside, picked up a stick, and I said to my brother, let's fight prequel style. And we went at it, and that's it. And now I actually do have 2 blades that I train with for myself. And I actually have a lightsaber. You can just see it in the corner. Now, Anakin has grown a little bit. His dark tendencies are coming a little bit more, especially with the Tusken slaughter, which I feel like it's such a plot that wasn't taken seriously at all. It actually annoyed me. It's like Padme heard about it, as far as I know. I don't think anyone else heard about it. I think in the Clone Wars like TV series it was kind of like mentioned again. But when it comes to the movie, it's like, are you letting... I know like when it comes to Tusken Raiders, people probably have like very like, they don't care much about it. They see them as savages and they're like, you know what? You shouldn't be doing that, but you did Tatooine a favor by killing them, sort of thing. But is it morally correct to do that? Why did the Jedi not actually apprehend him for this reason alone? Like, how did they not sense this? This is like if the Jedi have like great powers to sense how someone's feeling. Someone's traumatized because their mother died and he went on to kill a ton of fucking children, mother, fathers, you name it. And that doesn't just go away. That's trauma in his head. People are able to read him easily when it comes to that. You can't just shield yourself when there's so much happening in your head, especially when it comes to Anakin, who's brave. He's just too emotional, and he doesn't have the time to focus. So it did bother me when I rewatched it as I grow older. Like, this is not an opinion my 6-year-old would have. He'd be like, yeah, kill them Tuskens, man. I enjoyed the Battle of Geonosis. To an extent, I felt like I was too short. You barely got to actually see like a war, because it got like after the arena got hit straight on to try and track Count Dooku, and then that's kind of it. And then there's a duel between those. I enjoyed the duels, I guess. Wasn't the biggest fan. It looked a little bit weird, especially when Dooku and Anakin were fighting in the dark, and you just see lightsabers whooshing, but they didn't make that much sense. I didn't really feel a connection between the blades, and it just looked a bit off. I do like the cuts of the lightsabers. That they are much more realistic than nowadays, especially when it came to the Ahsoka series, where sometimes it just feels like you're hitting with a baseball bat instead of like an actual lightsaber. There's cuts and stuff like that. It's much better. Like, you don't... I don't want to go off on a tangent, but you don't have to like actually like stab someone to hurt them. Like, those are meant for killing blows. Like, just cut their legs and stuff, and it's easier. Not actually fully cutting the leg, but like actual like slightly cuts on the leg, like what happened to Obi-Wan. But the romance. As a kid, I didn't really care. If anything, I never understood how cringy it was until I rewatched it a little bit later, and I grew older, and I started being flirty as a human being, as everyone gets to that point. Stuff like that. So when it actually came to me rewatching the movie, I did suffer. It was a bit cringy. Actually, a bit. It was very cringy. I guess with the sand quote, it didn't bother me as much. I can kind of understand Anakin when it comes to that point. But for me, it was mostly it's like you have the talk with Padme in this dark-ass room with a couple lights. And she has the most sensual dress on. It's the most sexy thing ever that Anakin has probably seen on her. To then tell him that this shouldn't be done, you should hide your feelings, you're supposed to be a Jedi, your duty, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, then put some fucking normal clothes on. You're not helping the poor boy. He's a horny teenager and you're dressing up with that. There were so many things that just, it didn't make sense writing-wise. The romance was off. The fights weren't as interesting. They didn't really renovate or improve upon episode 1. It was kind of the same. or even less. They didn't mention anything about Anakin's murder with the Tusken Raiders. Padme thought, you know what, it's fine, you killed them, but I'll still love you. There's not much good things I can say about episode 2, and it's not something I'd like to rewatch. It felt very weird. I guess I would enjoy it if I was maybe 12 or 13 or around that age gap. Where being awkward would be the cool thing to be at, but it just didn't hit as well. I get it. I don't know. That's my opinion. It's convoluted. It's a mess. So I guess for episode 2, I will put it on the top side of D tier so far. It's not not the greatest thing for me. But as a kid, I loved it, obviously. As I grew older, I started just disliking it a little bit more and more. That being said, though, weirdly enough, if episode 2 was actually put on the cinemas again, but with a couple more of the deleted scenes, yeah, I'll probably watch it more, and I'll probably put it on bottom of C tier or in the middle of C tier, because some of the deleted scenes, especially with Anakin and Padme on the dinner with Padme's parents, added more to the story, and I felt like that was actually more needed. Anyways, I'll stop talking about that episode 2, man. We're 15 minutes in, or at least unedited. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Oh, buddy, now. I love it, man. If someone mentions Star Wars to me, the first thing I think of is actually Revenge of the Sith. I enjoy Anakin's portrayal there a little bit more. I felt like he matured just a tad bit. He's still a little bit awkward in some sense. I do feel like his fall to the dark side without the Clone Wars series is just a bit tad fast. I felt like the Clone Wars should have been like 2 or 3 more extra years. I felt like, for me, the movie would have been better for all 3 if Anakin wasn't actually so young in episode 1. And we'd seen more growth as a Jedi from 1, 2, and 3. That's my issue. And I felt like that is something that should have been done for the movies, for Anakin's fall towards becoming Darth Vader. When it comes to fight scenes, first of all, I love Count Dooku's fight with Anakin. I didn't enjoy Grievous and Obi-Wan's as much. It also didn't really make much sense for Obi-Wan to jump down. I know, favorite quote, hello there. But it's a suicide mission. You shouldn't be doing that. I felt like the Jedi Temple's massacre should have been prolonged just a little bit, just to show how dark it actually is. I get the idea of cutting the slaughter of the younglings because it's a bit too dark, but I don't mind that. But I definitely felt like the Revenge of the Sith video game portrayed this a little bit better than the movie, because obviously in the Revenge of the Sith video game, you play the whole movie, but you also get to play the section of the Massacre of the Jedi Temple, Operation Nightfall. Battlefront 2 kind of did it as well, from Pandemic Studios, but I felt like the video game definitely did it much better. You actually get to fight Jedi Masters, trained Jedis, Padawans, all the like, and that's what I loved about the game. You actually get to experience the massacre. You get to fight Sin Dralek, his apprentice as well. I forgot her name. I apologize. I think she played dual backward lightsabers. As far as I remember, they were yellow. I can't remember her name though. But that was cool. Obviously, the video game did deviate a little bit because you get to fight Mace Windu, like actual fight through different areas. And you also get an alternate ending where Anakin kills Obi-Wan and Sidious, and then just goes and screams to the clone troopers that no, the galaxy belongs to me. So it was a bit odd, but I do enjoy the alternative endings. It's kind of cool as a bonus mission. But like I said, I did feel like Operation Nightfall was much better in the video games portrayed. And I did like its portrayal later on in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, but with the Reaver thing, I wasn't there. I didn't really enjoy that as much. But yeah, when it comes to also the downfall, I did enjoy his talks with Palpatine or Sidious. I enjoyed all the action scenes I've seen in that fucking movie. Everything was just great. I loved seeing Vader at the end. I loved the costumes, man. Costumes were good. Anakin looked hella handsome, man. Let's be honest. I know it has nothing to do with the movie, but can I become gay for a second? Nah, realistically, the first thing I did as a kid is actually look up an Anakin Skywalker costume because it looked so good. Like the white robes are just kind of, but the black ones, and it had like a slightly, I felt like I had a slight purple tint, like a very, very dark, dark purple tint to it. And I love those robes, man. They just fit so perfectly. They're so good. This like, I would always watch that movie whenever it appears. I felt like it had enough action scenes. It was packed with dialogue, a couple one-liners that I didn't enjoy. But I liked everything about the movie. I don't know how else to like explain it. And episode 3 was kind of the movie that how do I say it? Cemented my love for Star Wars. Like, yeah, without episode 3, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed Star Wars as much as I do today. That's for sure. So I'm definitely gonna be putting episode 3 because I simply just love everything about it. Obviously, I'm gonna have to. There's some like points that I dislike, but I have that with every movie that I love. Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. Weirdly enough, when I watched the first 3 movies, Episode 1, 2, and 3, my parents weren't Star Wars fans. They didn't even really understand Star Wars. They just knew it were movies. So I remember one time my mother said, "Oh, did you know that they already have a new Star Wars? It's called Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope." And I'm like, "What? They have more movies that I didn't know about?" Yeah, they have 4, 5, 6. And then we went to watch them. It took me as a kid, it took me a little while longer to realize that 4, 5, 6 came before 1, 2, 3. But because my parents told me they were sequels, like it's the continuation, which it does make sense. But in my brain as a kid, I would think like, oh, okay, so it released afterwards. It got released afterwards. And then, yeah, but it was a big mindfuck for me because I think it took me up until like being 7 years or 8 years old before realizing like, this is from fucking 1980. Or 1977 for A New Hope. Yeah, the movies in 4, 5, 6 are a little bit like slower paced than 1, 2, 3. I do actually enjoy slower paced movies a lot. I like taking my time with the lore, with the setting, the atmosphere, the characters, everything. That's what I enjoy about movies, and I do feel like newer movies don't have that. Everything is, like I mentioned, convoluted, fast paced. Action, there's gotta have you people have to fucking dopamine rush instantly to make sure you like a movie, and I dislike this mindset with a lot of the stuff that are being put out today. I just appreciate a slow movie every now and then. A New Hope, I didn't watch it when it first came out, so I don't have that like mentality towards it being the first Star Wars movie. I can't give a high score purely because it's the first Star Wars movie that came out, and this is where my journey started. Because no, funnily enough, my journey actually started with Episode 3. The first time I've actually seen Star Wars, because I actually played Star Wars games before watching the movies. I had Dark Forces 1 and 2. I had the Battlefront 1 from Pandemic, and I think that was it. That was what I played before starting to watch the movies. The first thing I've actually seen was the fight of Anakin and Obi-Wan in Episode 3. It randomly appeared on TV. I said to my dad, let it on the screen because this looks cool as hell. I'll watch it, but then it ended so quickly because it was at the end and I didn't know this as a kid. And then I was like, I want more. I know I shouldn't. I want more. And then I started watching them. So I actually started with the end of Episode 3. So I think I've spoiled myself for everything. But as a kid, I didn't care and I didn't understand. I was way too young. I do like the plot. The plot is not like I mentioned, it's just slow. It has a good beginning and end, and everything flows nicely. There's like some places where it's slightly slower paced and it just picks up a little bit and it just winds down and it just picks up again. And yeah, The fights aren't as cool. The action sequences in The New Hope aren't as interested. But I haven't mentioned in the first 3 movies that I've already tiered, but the music is god tier, man. If I had to rank, I couldn't rank the soundtracks of each movie, man. Everything would be S tier. I'd probably put Revenge of the Sith on the highest because that's where John Williams, I feel like, peaked. That is like peak Star Wars music when it comes to Anakin's betrayal, Dark Deeds, where I'm So Sorry is also integrated in. You have the Anakin versus Obi-Wan. You have the Battle of the Heroes, The Boys Continue or something like that. You have Grievous theme, which is fucking awesome. You have the battle over Coruscant with the massive fucking drums at the start. You have the Padme's Rumination. I could go on, man. I still listen to the 3rd movie to this day. But anyway, I need to stop talking about episode 3. But man, A Binary Sunset is also just one of my favorite songs of all time. And I just love listening to that music. And then in watching the sunset, it's just one of the, like, man, I'm getting chills. I'm actually literally getting chills. Like, it gets me emotional just thinking about it. It's so good. And I think, hell, even for being an old movie compared to like the other Star Wars that are on this list, I feel like it's still like way ahead of its time. It's such a funny thing because I feel like if A New Hope released today in 4K, as it is now, it would still pass up. I feel like the technology is so well done. It's just amazing. I love the setting, the whole Empire. I love Darth Vader to appear in the movie. He was so menacing at the time, and obviously now I feel for the guy, but back then I was scared. I have to rank it, man. So, I'll probably put it on bottom of S tier. I might change it up at the end, but so far I'm putting on bottom of S tier. There's probably going to be something in between. Okay, next, Empire Strikes Back. Okay, now, it's going to be hard because if I put this on D, people will you know what? Let me put it like this and then make a thumbnail. And then just get all the views and all the dislikes and all the... Empire Strikes Back. People really love it, man. It's like everyone puts it on their number 1. So I feel like, I'm being watched right now. I love The Empire Strikes Back, though. I love the training. I loved Yoda's appearance. I felt like it actually added more towards the whole Jedi theme and the Force, because the Jedi, aside from Obi-Wan's mention in A New Hope at the start of the movie, it wasn't really like thoroughly explored. He talked about, correctly, Darth Vader hunting down all the Jedi Knights and killing Anakin in a way, stuff like that. But within that movie, A New Hope, it wasn't really like explored more. And it's one of the plots that I was interested in. I wanted to figure out about the past. Like, you mentioned the Clone Wars you mentioned the Clone Wars in a random movie and you don't even explain it. What do you mean, the Clone Wars? Also, what was George even thinking about when he made it? What was he thinking about? The clones? Like, it baffles me how we already had some weird-ass plot and then made it work when episode 1, 2, and 3 came out. Like, what the fuck? But The Empire Strikes Back, we had more planets, obviously. We had Hoth. We're finally, like, because in A New Hope, you mostly explored Tatooine, and then you saw... a little bit of Javin, I guess, to some extent, and then mostly space battles and the Death Star. But in The Empire Strikes Back, we had Dagobah, Bespin, we had Hoth. So already 3 planets. So you have like you have more exploration, you have a bigger imagination, you get a feeling that you're actually in a different galaxy because there's some random planets that you can just simply go to. I love the whole sequence of Bespin. It's really good. I actually feared for everyone's life when Vader just randomly appears. It was a shock. And then obviously the reveal that Vader is Luke's father, which everyone still quotes wrongly. Everyone keeps saying, Luke, I'm your father, but he ain't your father. He your daddy, bro. Nah, but seriously, it's just another one of those plot points where suddenly you're like, okay, but now I want to know more. You have this weird ass guy in a suit, or at least a robot, or in a suit, or a person in a suit that has slaughtered Jedi Knights, including your father. But now apparently the guy in the suit is your father, and you're there thinking, well, you can't just leave it there, because the movie did end like a couple minutes afterwards, and you're there thinking like, I need to know more. What do you mean? So yeah, basically that. I love that part. I love, the whole Luke versus Vader fight was awesome. Like, I really enjoyed it. Obviously, like I said, I watched 1, 2, and 3 first, so it went from fast-paced to very slow-paced. But I feel like I had a better connection. I feel like they were more, like, especially when it comes to Luke versus Vader on Bespin, I felt like it was more Vader training Luke rather than actually fighting him. He was more testing to see what Luke was about. Like, has he trained as much as I had hoped? Is he weaker than I thought? Is he stronger? Can he become stronger? Let me test it. I'll use the Force against him. I'll use my own tricks. I'll use my lightsaber. Stuff like that. And that's really awesome, because it did go a little bit faster paced the moment that Vader actually got hit and he started getting angry and he started swinging. So there was some faster pace when it comes to the lightsaber fight. But it was mostly, I feel like it was mostly a test to see if Luke was worthy to join him in order to overthrow the Emperor, which was his plan to begin with. But whether I would actually say, is it S tier? Alright, this is the interesting part. Would I put this on S tier? Probably. I think I will, purely because I don't have any negative points towards the movie. There's nothing I can say bad about it. And there's a lot of stuff I can say that I love. So I'm actually, to everyone's relief, I'm putting this below Revenge of the Sith, because I love Revenge of the Sith. Return of the Jedi. Okay, we go back to Tatooine. We're fucking tired. I mean, you get to see Tatooine more often. You get Tatooine's copy, Jakku, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, or Tatooine again in Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, blah blah blah. It's everywhere, man. Tatooine is the most used planet, and it's not even like it's a big ass planet, but all the movies are centered within this one fucking area. It's either Mos Espa, Mos Eisley, Anchorhead. That's fucking it. There's nothing else in Tatooine, bro. It doesn't exist. I guess I feel like sometimes it's a bit ridiculous to have these little Muppets overthrow most of the stormtroopers. You have to realize that stormtroopers are mostly seen as being the elite. So I just disliked how weak they were shown. Like in Empire Strikes Back, you finally have they're finally attacking back. Literally, they're striking back. They're putting a dent to the rebels. And then in Return of the Jedi, they kind of get smacked down by trees and Ewoks that have no experience with fighting stormtroopers, but they made it work somehow. It's just kind of they made it purely for the sake of the story to progress, but that's kind of it. And I feel like I didn't like that as much. That being said, though, I loved Luke's portrayal. I loved the green saber. Really, it's really good. And I also enjoyed, my favorite scene in the movie is actually the talk between Luke and Vader / Anakin at the bridge before they arrived to the Emperor. Because I felt like that was the first time I actually got to see Vader in some sort of emotional state, I guess, if you can call it that. Vader was starting to have doubts. He just tried to get Luke to his side to overthrow the Emperor, but Luke is not listening. He just wants to talk to his father, to Anakin, and then you hear the words from Vader that he says it is too late for him. But it's like, I feel like saying that something is too late for you is also like a cry for help. I know he mentioned that Anakin is dead and it has no longer any meaning for him and he doesn't care about it as much. But he did have some sort of doubt, and that's what I enjoyed. There was actually like already a connection between Luke and Vader. It got me emotional, all right? I don't see many people talking about it. I feel like on the subreddit and everything, and on like YouTube videos, I feel like that people should talk more about the conversation between Luke and Vader at the bridge. It's one of my favorite scenes of all time. It's just, yeah, it's emotional, at least for me. And I loved his redemption near the end of the movie. And I loved the talk between them. It got me very emotional yet again. I got to see his face. It was a big reveal. Because for me, even though I didn't watch 4, 5, 6 before the prequel, for me it was like, how does Anakin look burned and then like 23 years older without the mask? I'm wondering. So it was very exciting for me to actually see like Vader unmasked. Where would I put Return of the Jedi on the tier list? I'd probably put it on the top of A. Yeah, that's gonna be it for the 1 till 6 movies actually. Now we're moving on to the other stuff. Yeah, The Force Awakens, big hype. What a waste, man. I feel like I'm actually just pissed off on Finn's character arc, at least throughout the whole sequel. I feel like a stormtrooper or a First Order trooper that's starting to see how bad it actually is. And he doesn't want to do it anymore and he wants to defect. I feel like that would have been a better storyline. Being hunted down for becoming a traitor, realizing you slowly through the story, you have force powers, pick up a lightsaber, you want to believe in the fight, stuff like that. You want to win from them. Basically, again, rebels against empires, but in the future. I feel like Luke, Han, and Leia, if they were going to appear, they should have at least appeared together. I feel like it was an actual waste for them to not be together for at least a scene. Obviously, you have Luke and Leia to some extent together later in the movie. Yeah, basically that. I felt like Rey having the ability to fend off Kylo through the mind was a bit mind-boggling. It didn't make much sense. It's just... I actually enjoyed the movie the first time I watched it. Again, my opinion changed when Last of Jedi and Rise of Skywalker appeared. I do like Kylo Ren, actually. I felt like it was a bit... Again, felt like a teenager mostly more than an adult. And I had trouble resonating with him because I'm not as young anymore as I used to be. But no, I just couldn't... I just didn't like the movie as much. So I'm probably gonna put The Force Awakens... This is already so fast, man. I'm putting it below Episode 2. Purely because I enjoy Episode 2 more than The Force Awakens. And that's mostly because I know Episode 2, even though it's a convoluted mess, it does follow some plot points that are followed by in the next movie. So I just see Episode 2 more as a bridge. But The Force Awakens, it just doesn't make much sense at all. For me, at least. I couldn't enjoy it as much. Rogue One, again, I've only watched it once. I know people loved it. I actually liked it as well. I watched it with 2 of my friends at the time at college, and they both disliked it. And I was like, bro, the fuck? This is actually good. I did have trouble liking it a lot purely because I was so used to lightsabers and the Force and that sort of thing that to have a movie based on everything outside of it, and it was more of like a military conflict, I did have trouble. Like, I wanted to see lightsabers and stuff like that. No, I really liked it. It had nice comedy as well. I forgot some of the character names, but the blind one was one of the funniest. The suicide mission towards the end of the movie got me very emotional because I was actually connected to the characters, and to see them being sent off this way was kind of sad. but it had a bittersweet ending in my opinion. I loved Vader's portrayal because it was short and you didn't need much more time with him. And I also really enjoyed the connection between Rogue One and straight up to Episode 4. It's just a movie that I can easily enjoy because of the adventure, even though it's very dangerous. It just feels like a good adventure to watch. And yeah, I was able to follow it thoroughly. And it had everything, man. It had comedy, it had good action, good drama, especially because of the Death Star plans and her father, and also a lot of emotional moments. It just had everything nicely packed into a good movie, and it had a nice length to it. It didn't need more. It didn't need more time nor less time. It was just perfect the way it is. But I'm gonna put it on above Return of the Jedi, because I still love the movies on the S tier more than Rogue One. The Last Jedi, Jesus. Now, God, I need to drink. I hated this movie compared to The Force Awakens. I disliked The Force Awakens. I was able to get through it. I enjoyed it the first time. But The Last Jedi, the first time I watched it in the movie, I disliked it, man. You have to realize, for me at least, I grew up with the expanded universe. Mostly Old Republic. To some extent, everything after Episode 6. I disliked Luke's portrayal in the movie. I didn't like his character. It didn't make a lot of sense. It didn't make sense to attack Kylo, especially because he was able to believe in his father prior to this. I felt like the massacre of the Jedi Temple, it could be a nice plot point for a story, but I feel like I feel like Luke Skywalker should have deserved his happy ending. That's my opinion. He's been through a lot, and I felt like there was no need to drag him to the mud yet again for dramatic purposes for a movie. That's my opinion to it. There wasn't like a lot of action scenes I really enjoyed, and I believe this is the movie because, like I said, I've watched it once and then snippets every now and then. I believe this is also the movie where Finn and I forgot the female character's name, I apologize, but they went off to a secondary mission that ended up being for nothing, and I felt like it's just a waste of my fucking time, man. I need like, there needs to be like I said, again, when it comes to Episode 2, convoluted fucking mess, but it went somewhere. It had a plot, it had a story that was going to move forward no matter what, but The Last Jedi was suffering from a lot of things that were added for no reason and added nothing to the story. There's almost no good thing I can say about the movie. That's my opinion. So I'm just gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna put it on the bottom of D so far. The Solo movie. I think a lot of people dislike this movie because it came half a year after The Last Jedi and it left a sour taste. But I actually enjoyed it. I felt like it was really good. I've only watched it once, so I can't talk much about the plot because I don't remember much anymore. But again, it felt like a Rogue One movie. It was a nice adventure. It had everything packed into a good few hours run. Nothing too convoluted, nothing too simple. It was nice to follow through. You had some new characters, and you had some old characters coming in that like were able to bring up some hype. Like Darth Maul appeared, for example. That was great. And obviously you have Han Solo and Chewbacca to appear, and Lando as well. And it was just a good movie. It's a nice watch. And for that reason, I'll put it on the bottom of B tier. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Sidious came back. The Emperor. Great, I guess. Anakin lived for no fucking reason. His whole plot is gone for no reason. I get that it's some sort of clone, and even as someone that spends more time with the expanded universe than canon, yes, we've had our fucking Sidious clones as well. I know, we try to forget about them too, Don't worry. I just, again, same as The Last Jedi, I actually did hate this movie. I don't really talk about it. It's not that I actually actively hate it and mention it towards people unless being asked. I don't really like to talk about negativity stuff. So whenever I see like either hate replies on the subreddit about the movies or stuff like that, I just read it. I don't like it nor dislike it. I also don't reply. I sometimes agree or disagree, but mostly agree with some of the points being made towards the negativity of the movies. But I'm just really quiet. I just don't like conflict, and I know people's opinions are so different. There's no reason for me to argue about it. I know how I feel about the movies. I don't want nor feel like I should make someone else feel the same way as I do. Because for you, it's just going to be different. Like, some people love The Last Jedi, and that's completely fine. If you want to like those movies, I'm not against you. As long as you enjoy Star Wars, it's completely fine. Now, if you bash Revenge of the Sith, I will fuck you up, son. I'll tell you that. Nah, but you get what I mean. It's like, I'm very open when it comes to like opinions for Star Wars. You do you, man. I'm not going to go against it. I will give you my opinion about it. You can take it as you like, but it's not like I'm trying to convert you to the fucking dark side or something. The Rise of Skywalker, again, there were some plots that were brought up and then made nothing with it. I'm gonna guess Finn is a Force user as well, but I felt like every time he was just screaming Rey, and I'm just like, bro, just say what you want to say. Say what the point was. And then it was just a lot of like jokes that didn't hit, or it's like you're trying to expect to know what they're gonna say, and everything felt like telepathy, man. I can't use the Force. Don't expect me. It's just not how it works. That's not how the Force works. Rey being a Palpatine is just, what the fuck? Why? Man, I just feel like that's just such a... It just disregards the previous two movies, and I just felt like it didn't really add anything towards it. And then being called Skywalker at the end, who are you to just change your fucking name? You're not part of the legacy. Why? I will say though, the one thing that I did love about the movie was Ben Solo's redemption. I really liked it. And then he fucking died. And then I disliked it again. I felt like if Rey died in order to save Ben, and Ben would have reappeared, repent for his sins, for destroying the Jedi Temple, being able to talk to a Force ghost of Luke Skywalker, and apologizing and trying to become a better person and help the New Republic with the ongoing conflicts after the Rise of the Skywalker, I'd probably enjoy it more. But then again, I just don't like most of the plots of Palpatine and stuff. I felt like it just undermines the first 6 movies that were made by George Lucas. I just didn't like that. That's my problem. But I'm going to put it slightly above... hey. Oh, it's because I finished it. Do I want to change anything? I'm going to keep episode 3 on the top. Empire Strikes Back is going to stay top, and A New Hope as well. Rogue One on top of A, for me, makes sense. Return of the Jedi on second A also makes sense. Episode 1, yeah, I'd probably keep it on B. I don't think anything else is on C tier. Fucking hell, C tier is like, yeah. It's either I love it or I hate it. And some in-betweens. Solo on B tier. But no, I think I'm going to keep it here. This is my opinion of the movies. Yeah. Let me know if you guys kind of agree or disagree. I've been talking for a fucking hour now and I'm getting a little bit tired. I'll edit it down a little bit. But yeah, a big tier list, man. Jeez. I'm very happy with it. I might do the TV shows later on, but I just want to talk about the movies as it is right now in 2023. Anyways, thank you all for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you guys in the next Let's Play probably, because I won't be doing a tier list for at least a couple weeks again. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.